Good morning, all. So we have a game at 10 a.m. this morning, 19 minutes. Well, I mean, the start time is always about 9 or 10 minutes after the hour. That's something I've figured out when I'm planning out my day. I'm like, yeah, they all say they all start at 4 o'clock, but they actually start at 4:10. So, yeah, I got time to do this and then get ready to watch the Rangers and the Bruins and see if the Rangers are able to pull one out. So, they will have a little bit of help today in doing that. Jack Eichel. The latest from Ralph Kruger is that he's out for the foreseeable future. Foreseeable future. So this has gone from, it's day to day. Well, actually, this started out as he's not hurt. It turned into he's day to day. Then it became a 7 to 10 days thing. And now it's for the foreseeable future. At this time next week, I anticipate the Buffalo Sabres saying, who's Jack Eichel? We've never heard of this. We have no idea who you're talking about. No clue. And then we'll hear about this new kid trying out baseball named Jack Eichel, who just happens to have the same name, the same face, and the same everything. And is now a prospect magically playing minor league baseball in Buffalo. Completely unrelated. So, all jokes aside, I do hope that Eichel comes back soon. To me, this feels like concussion territory in that it's this odd, they're not talking about it kind of thing. And the way it's developed, it could very well be a concussion. Concussion symptoms don't always show up right away. And we have seen over decades that concussions can be misdiagnosed out of the gate and or missed. So I hope that's not it. I hope it's something else. But at the same time, it whatever it is, it doesn't sound like it's good. And yeah, hopefully it's not as long term as it sounds. Jake Gardiner. So Jake Gardiner is into year 2 of a $16.2 million deal, and the Carolina Hurricanes have thrown him on waivers. There's no chance anybody picks up that contract. So Gardiner on waivers. Is a move being made by Carolina so they can move him to the taxi squad, which, I mean, we can look at this various ways, but I think that does indicate that Carolina realizes that Gardiner's not living up to advanced billing, or maybe Jake Beans made it so that Gardiner's expendable. But Gardiner going to the taxi squad, we'll see how long he's there. Injuries are always a thing in the NHL, especially over a contracted schedule. But I'm not sure what happens with Gardiner. Do they buy him out in the offseason? Do they try to find a trade partner with 2 years left on that contract? Do they have to take money back? Odds are probably yes, with the flat cap for the foreseeable future and all of that. So yeah, for Jake Gardiner, it's not a great picture. It's likely not what he signed on for when he went there. But at that price, this is where some of these contracts, when they get signed, I mean, they're great and all, but it can make it so you're not easily moved. Jake DeBrusk has been added to the COVID protocol list, so he will not be playing for the Boston Bruins today. We'll see how long he's on the list. Marc-Andre Fleury, in between when I did my news video yesterday and when Vegas took the ice last night, he was cleared. It was a false positive. So when it's a false positive, they catch it pretty darn quickly, and the guy goes back in the lineup. And so that's the case with Fleury. We'll see whether or not something like that happens with DeBrusk, but he's not playing today. Now, of course, Jake DeBrusk's been having a hard time with scoring and staying in the Boston lineup as it is, so this is just another hit for Jake DeBrusk. Artemi Panarin news for Rangers fans. You'll be glad to know. If you don't, odds are you already know, but Panarin returns this morning to play for the Rangers. It is his first time in the lineup since February 20th. So whatever he went away to get done, got done. And I don't see any reason why he shouldn't be in their lineup for the rest of this year. And there you go. Panarin's back. We'll see what kind of impact that has on the Rangers and whether or not it spurs them on to a victory over the Bruins this morning. It's possible. It's absolutely possible. Speaking of unexpected returns or highly anticipated returns, so there's a couple of them on the board here. Nikita Kucherov has been skating, and he might not be that far off. So we're not looking at probably sooner than a week, but the idea that Kucherov's up skating and he may return before the end of the season, that's exciting if you're a Tampa Bay Lightning fan. And for the rest of the league, it's bad news because the Tampa Bay Lightning right now have been one of, if not the best team in the league throughout the season. And now they would be getting Nikita Kucherov, one of their best scorers, back into the lineup. So overall, if you're a Tampa fan, that's great news, right? Also, some good news here if you're a Sens fan and you're looking at this season and you've got 9 wins so far. Shane Pinto has been named the NCHC Player of the Year. He was originally drafted 32nd overall. The Sens were high enough on him that they believed that they would have taken him in the first round if they were in the middle of that round. He gets 28 points in 23 games this year. And again, he's progressing very well. We'll see how long it is before he graduates and he ends up in the Ottawa lineup. But there are a lot of good prospects in the Ottawa system. And again, that's good news if you're a Sens fan. Yesterday, there was a trade that raised some eyebrows. I didn't report on it or do a video specifically on it because it's a very minor trade. And since it involves the Leafs, I mean, I could have posted it at the time and Leafs make a trade and people would have come in and gone, that's it. So before this season, there was a lot of hype about Mikko Lehtonen, right? Where the Leafs had gone over and there were other teams having a bidding war. And it's always the same thing. Teams are having a bidding war on a player that they can get on the cheap who's ready to play in the NHL right now. And it is very easy to overhype European players. It happens all the time. This is why when somebody's coming over and people are like, why aren't you talking about this guy? My answer is always the same. I've seen too many guys come over from the KHL or various European leagues where they may have been very, very good to great. And then in the NHL it just doesn't work out. It also happens the other way around where guys may not have been great in the KHL. They come over and play in the NHL and it works really well. So it is not a completely reliable system saying, okay, if you're good in this league, then you'll be good in that one. Or you were bad in that league, so you won't be good in this one either. So the idea that Lehtonen is being traded now makes sense because he's a UFA, so you might as well get something back for him. They get back a young goaltender, which, considering Freddie Anderson's contract status, might not be a bad idea. And Veini Vehviläinen was going to be caught up in a bit of a problem anyways because Columbus has another goaltending prospect they're looking to sign and bring over. And with that going on, he could have been dropped down to 5th on the depth chart for goaltenders. So Vehviläinen is now with the Leafs. He's a free agent at the end of this year as well. It's just basically one free agent for the other. Columbus gets a look at Lehtonen to see whether or not they want to sign him after this season to keep him around. And if they don't, he probably ends up going back to the KHL. Again, there's always a lot of hype about guys coming over from Europe. Every year, we'll see it again this next couple of weeks here to a month because KHL teams, their seasons are done and playoffs are finishing up. So there's going to be a lot of hype about certain KHL free agents. And very often, it doesn't quite work out. And there we are. Like Gusev, it didn't quite work out. There was almost no hype at all when Dadonov came back over, and Dadonov was great for Florida. So it is a hit and miss thing. Hopefully, the Leafs figure out a way to get the Vehviläinen to stick around. I would think after this season, if you had Campbell, you had Vehviläinen. And obviously, if you decide to keep Anderson, great. If you decide to move on from Anderson, you'd have to replace him. But with Campbell, Vehviläinen, you at least with Vehviläinen would have a number 3 that you could really rely on. And again, there are other prospects in the Toronto lineup, but we'll see how that works out. And again, for Lehtonen, Columbus just gets to take a look at him before the season's done. Even early in the season, Sheldon Keefe had Lehtonen in the lineup ahead of guys like Dermott, and he wasn't necessarily all that happy about it. He said that in where they were talking about him today, and that basically, Dermott was just ahead of him on the depth chart, and they have guys like Liljegren and Sandin in the system. So, Lehtonen at 27, what you see is what you get, and they've decided to move on from him. All right, Lundqvist. If you're a Washington fan, this will be interesting news, why I'm wearing Washington jersey. Because their goaltending's been mixed bag, depending on the day, depending on the week, right? So Vanacek was Rookie of the Month, and then wasn't. And he's gone through his good and bad spots, and Samsonov kind of the same thing. So the idea that they're not ruling out Lundqvist returning before the end of this season, that's an eyebrow raiser, because we had all assumed when he said, I'm out for this year, that meant he was out for this year. It may not. Lundqvist returning to them in some capacity, and whether it's as a goaltender or if it's just to be there and advise the other goaltenders, that could be huge. So if Lundqvist is around the team, and if he can come in and play, who knows? It might be a huge boost. He'd be very well rested. We know this. And if there's no further danger to his health from him playing, then yeah, I would think that would be great. So the Washington Capitals aren't saying that that's ruled out completely. They're open to the idea of him playing for him. And it'd be very interesting to see what would happen if he did. Because for the Capitals, it kind of feels like the team has everything it needs, but you'd have to be nervous about the goaltending right now, right? So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Would adding Lundqvist back to the lineup for the Capitals, where he hasn't actually played a game yet, if that helps the Capitals, how that helps the Capitals, this kind of thing. And let me know what you guys think of the minor deal yesterday between Toronto and Columbus. And hey, hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching the cat channel that happens to have a guy who just stands in front of a board talking about hockey. And of course, yesterday, Yvonne filmed a video in here of Shadow and Bear watching one of those YouTube videos you put on for your cats. It's hilarious. It's the only time they watch the TV. I don't even try to make them watch it. I just put it on, and the bird noises make them go, "What's that?" And there you go. So it's cute. It's cute. And Pixel, the other cat that's sometimes in these videos too. Sometimes she's the third cat over. She actually just watches TV. It's hilarious. She will just sit and just watch TV. It's great. You have a cat in your lap who's just sitting and watching TV with you, and you get the sense they understand because we've been away from people for a long time. All right. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.